started making names right away. And I loved it. I was robbing drug dealers, and taking their gold right off their neck. And the shit we did, who's going to call the police on you? A drug dealer?
I can identify with anything that was normal, to be honest with you. But I was born and raised in Brooklyn, New York. Yeah.
99% of the time, you're going to disagree.
Just like the Donnie Brasco situation with Lefty?
Yeah, because the reason why, they figure it this way. You brought this guy around, he ratted on everybody, now he ratted on you. You might turn around and join him and rat on us, so we get rid of you, there's no connection between there and there, and they get rid of you.
Welcome to another episode of Chattin with Staxx. I'm your host, Bill Staxx, and today I got Keri Vandiver. How are you?
I'm hanging in there, Bill. How you doing, bud?
I'm doing great. So thank you so much for coming on my show.
Sure.
A lot of people out there might recognize these pictures from a book from Ken Croak. So he was an undercover FBI agent who ended up infiltrating the Pagans MC on Long Island and putting your father in prison. And you were there when Ken Croak was around, and you noticed some things about him. We're going to get into it. First, do you want to introduce yourself to the people and tell them where you're from and all that good stuff?
Sure. My name is Keri. I'm from Suffolk County, Long Island. I am the father of Hogman, who is in the book from chapter 1 to chapter 51. So if you read the book, and I'm sure you've heard Hogman's name, I am his daughter. My dad has been around the Pagans and been a pagan since I'm born. So it's just his lifestyle. My uncle was the vice president.
When Ken Croak first got introduced to your dad, do you remember this time? Or were you around that time?
Yeah, I had actually this all happened all at the same time. My kids were legally kidnapped from the state of Vermont, and I winded up going back to New York. Ken was already in the picture when I got back to New York from Vermont. But I remember visiting my dad, and I seen him come in the door, and I right off the gate, I could smell it. You could smell the swine, you know, and my dad knew too. My dad knew, but he was going through the death of my mother. They were together for 30 years, and she overdosed. So he tried to commit suicide twice. Thank you. So my dad wasn't really mentally all there. You know, he was definitely in another place, definitely still grieving and mourning. He tried to commit suicide twice. Once was he drove his Harley with whiskey in one hand, and it was raining out, and he just wanted to get into an accident. I'm not sure what stopped him. And then one other time after that, he held the shotgun to his chin and was going to pull the trigger. But one of my uncles, I'm not sure if it was Tommy or Jason, took the bullets out of the gun like 5 minutes before he decided to do that. They were like on 12-hour shifts watching my dad, making sure he didn't do anything stupid.
Wow. So do you remember the first time that Ken Croak ever introduced illegal activity around your father or your uncle?
Well, the time that I went to visit my dad was what I was really talking about when he came in. And, you know, it's a norm for me to see my dad pull out some coke, some crystal meth. Like he does it, and I'm just like, whatever, you know. And I'm sitting at the table, and we were like smoking weed and stuff like that at the time. So I didn't indulge in anything else. I'm not big into drugs, but I saw Ken sniff crystal meth. And in the book, he says it was cocaine, and that I guess they have some tactic where they pretend to do it or something, and that he didn't pretend to do shit. He sniffed that crystal meth, and I seen him do it. So he left that part out in the book, but he left a lot of things out, you know.
Yeah, you said he was having sex with a bunch of different women. He was married.
Yeah, I was at my cousin's house in by the train station in Ronkonkoma, Long Island, and we're chilling in her house. She's like a really good cook, so we were all there to eat and stuff like that. And, you know, her boyfriend was also a part of the Pagans, so it was like a get together, you know. And Ken went in the bathroom with 2 women and came out about 20 minutes later. And we heard the commotion. I mean, it wasn't like like I said, it was the norm for us for that kind of behavior to happen, you know. But in the book, he portrays himself to be this like ATF agent, cop, undercover, by the book. Not at all. Not at all.
When the dead body situation came about, you want to talk about that and how that all came about?
Yeah, well, the exact same time that I seen Ken sniff the crystal meth, and then he winded up leaving. They had the conversation, they did what they did, and he had to leave. So he winded up leaving, and I noticed the first thing I noticed on him was the clean nails. I mean, even if you're not a 1%er and you work on bikes and you're just a part of an MC, your nails are going to be permanently embedded with mechanic oil. You can clean it with acid. It ain't coming off. You know what I mean? Yeah. And he just was too like clean cut and everything. So when he left,
Look at this guy.
Yeah. Come on. So like, I looked at my dad and I said, Dad, I think he's a cop. Like I distinctly remember that. And he looks at me and he goes, I know. And he says, we're putting him to the test. Later on, I found out.
You said this when he got up and walked away, right? You didn't say
and I should have. I should have. And you know how like you get into a fight or an argument and later on you're like, I should have said this, I should have did that. It was one of those moments for me. It was like, damn, just even now when my dad passed away, I even still think, what if I was at that table and what if I said, motherfucker, you're a cop? I would have blew his whole cover right there. I mean, what was he going to say? No, I'm not. You know what I mean? So like I shoulda, woulda, coulda, but I didn't. And I think it was because I didn't want to cause an uproar right then and there between my dad and this big, strong, burly man who could probably mash my father into potatoes. You know, my father was
another thing. Let's talk about the assault that Ken Croak did on some guy, and he got a nickname for it.
Yeah, Slam. So, in the book, he describes that as like he didn't want to do it. Like he was hesitant. It was a big thing for him. He almost didn't do it, you know, but he had to because the club was right there. And if he didn't, you know what I'm saying? It wasn't like that. He fucking broke that guy's neck, slammed him on the fucking ground and broke his neck. I don't know what happened to the guy after that. But that's how he got his name. Assaulting that man. Like he didn't have an issue doing it.
So that night you told
it was almost like he was sowing his oats.
Yeah. It was like what?
You know? It was like almost like him sowing his oats. Like he had the chance to relive his midlife crisis type shit, you know?
Yeah, through the motorcycle club and facilitated by the ATF, right?
Yeah. Yeah, 100%. I mean, they would be around the corner, the TikTok content. So someone actually hit me up and explained how he felt at this big thing that they had, not a powwow. They don't call it a powwow. They call it something else. It's right? Like some kind of get together. No, it wasn't so much church. It was like
church on Sundays. They have
when they have. Yeah, when they have a meeting, they call it church. But this was more like the old ladies can come, the girls can come. You know, it's like a big thing, right? The compound. That's what it was called, the compound. So this guy on TikTok is explaining to me that he felt something was off at the compound, and he saw the feds there. Now, for this guy to tell me that from my TikTok content, all the way from the situation that actually happened at the compound is like, it kind of blew my mind because this man, this pagan was there and described to me recently that he felt it was some off shit and he knew the feds were there. So the feds, they followed Ken everywhere he went. They were accessible anywhere.
So let's talk about the dead body situation. The night that you told your father, I think he's a cop, what did your father tell you, and what happened after that?
So he said, I know. He said, we're putting him to the test. He explained some things about his baby brother that was ignorant to the situation, but we'll get into that. So he tells me that they're going to have him bury a fake dead body. I'm like, a fake dead body. Knowing my dad, I'm like, I wonder if he's just telling me that so that I don't freak out. You know what I mean? Like, I'm like, yeah, right. Okay. A fake dead body, whatever. So they do. They take him upstate, and it's in the news article. So they took him upstate, and they had him bury a whole big giant bag full of like boots and old meat, possibly some animal parts. It smelled pretty rotten from what my dad told me. And they had Ken bury it. And in the book, he was explaining how he had a hard time doing that. He didn't know, if the ATF was going to back him up on that, but, whatever. So he winded up burying the dead body. And then, so, yeah, they buried it. And it was nothing but fucking boots and meat and whatever. And then later
but they were excited because they thought, we got him.
Yes. They were very excited for that. They couldn't wait to dig up that body and have a murder charge for everyone. But that's not what happened. Gearing up, and they got all their, digging material, and everybody, and they go up there and they unbury the bag full of bullshit.